You're not indecisive. You're being played by an archetype that excels at wrecking clarity. Face the shadow without structure and three things hit: inflation, projection, collapse. Quick fix shadow work awakens power but gives you no container. That's why your breakthroughs detonate your decisions. Today, I'll show you 3 traps, the Jungian method that dissolves psychological quicksand, and a step-by-step practice. There's a third thing that stabilizes you when opposites tear you apart. Stay for it. You're highly perceptive, not broken, overloaded. Before we go into tactics, you need to see the first trap that seduces rare minds: inflation. Inflation hijacks individuation. It whispers, "You've arrived," and pulls you off the path the moment you finally touch real depth. The costs are brutal. Delusion that looks like confidence, relationships that rupture because you stop listening, and ethical drift as you justify anything in service of your mission. Jung discovered this repeatedly. When the ego identifies with unconscious energy, it feels godlike, special, invincible, and then choices get warped because you're no longer evaluating reality. You're defending a crown you think you wear. Here's what inflation is in plain terms. Your ego fuses with a surge of unconscious power, dream images, synchronicities, intuitive hits, and concludes, "I am the source." It's possession disguised as purpose. The experience is intoxicating. Sudden meaning, electrified certainty, a sense that every sign confirms your destiny. But here's what makes it so dangerous. Decision quality collapses right as confidence spikes. You need a grounding protocol: containment, rhythm, small reality tests. Containment means you don't broadcast your revelations. You create a vessel, time, privacy, and clear limits, so the energy can settle. Rhythm re-regulates your nervous system. Consistent sleep, simple meals, daily movement. Small reality tests keep you honest. Quiet experiments with measurable outcomes instead of sweeping life pivots. Humility is the counterweight, not self-hatred, just the stance. Energy is moving through me. I'm not at watch for the 3 tells of inflation. First, grand narratives. Suddenly, your personal struggle becomes a cosmic battle with you as chosen interpreter. Second, contempt for limits, deadlines, budgets, other people's boundaries, annoyances to be transcended, not respected. Third, obsession with symbols as proof. Every number, lyric, or dream becomes an external certification of your inner royalty. The more you search for proof, the more the trickster feeds you coincidence candy. Decisions rot in that sugar rush. Micro-story. Someone has 3 vivid dreams in a week. They see a staircase, a crown, and a blazing horizon. They quit their job on Monday, break up on Tuesday, and announce a spiritual brand on Wednesday. 2 months later, they're isolated, broke, and confused, certain only about one thing. Those dreams felt real. They were real. But real doesn't mean literal. The energy was true. The interpretation was inflated. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Name the current, not the crown. Say, "There's a surge of meaning moving through me," not, "I am the anointed one." That one linguistic shift creates a gap. In that gap, you can choose. Choice returns your humanity. Humanity keeps you safe. Common mistakes that supercharge inflation. Solo binge journaling, where you argue yourself into certainty. Ritual escalation, where you keep amplifying the energy instead of integrating it. And cutting feedback loops by avoiding people who ask grounded questions. These are decision killers. You don't need more intensity. You need containment. Checkpoint mantra. Stay human-sized. Now, practice. For 7 days, run a containment protocol. Non-negotiables: 7 to 8 hours of sleep, simple food on a schedule, 20 minutes of movement daily, one confidant with permission to challenge you. 0 proclamations, no public declarations of destiny, no massive announcements, No quitting 3 pillars of your life in 1 week. Capture insights privately, design micro-tests, and let evidence speak louder than euphoria. If a dream arrives, translate it into a reversible experiment. 1 phone call, not a resignation. 1 prototype, not a company launch. If a synchronicity hits, log it, breathe, and ask, what behavior does this invite in the smallest possible unit? The transcendent function works with tension, not speed. Slow preserves signal. Speed manufactures noise. Do this and watch your decisions sharpen. The energy becomes fuel, not costume, and you keep your relationships, your ethics, and your future intact. If inflation is the flame, projection is the smoke. Here's what makes it so dangerous. Projection blinds pattern recognition. It takes the parts of you you can't stand, your disowned precision, your hunger for power, your fear of being ordinary, and paints them on other people. Then your decisions turn into external wars. You fight phantoms, trust erodes, and the data you need to choose well gets buried under moral outrage. Jung wrote that the shadow carries what the ego refuses. When that load gets heavy, it leaks. The leak looks like certainty about other people's motives. But here's what makes this so dangerous. Projection feels like clarity while it destroys clarity. The more convinced you are about them, the less access you have to you. Shadow mapping is the antidote. Simple definition. Your harshest judgments reveal the affect-toned complexes you've disowned. Affect-toned complex just means an emotionally charged pattern that runs faster than thought. When it activates, your voice tightens, your conclusions speed up, and your appetite for nuance disappears. That's the moment to map. Here's the 3x3 mapping drill. Row 1. 3 people you judge most right now. Colleague, friend, public figure. Row 2. 3 traits you assign each person. Manipulative, lazy, arrogant, whatever spikes your emotion. Row 3. 3 triggers. Situations that light you up, like missed deadlines, vague answers, status games. Now the mirror test. For each trait, ask, where is this in me? Not as a global indictment, but with precision, context, frequency, and dose. Then retract and reclaim your language. Instead of, they are manipulative, try. I slip into subtle control when I want certainty, and fear asking directly. The mistake most people make is treating projection like insight about others. It's not. It's information about you. Yes, sometimes people lie or exploit. Boundaries still matter. But if the same story repeats across different people, you're looking at your pattern stamped on varied faces. That pattern will wreck decisions because it biases the data stream. The clarity event arrives when repeated enemies share your disowned trait. If arrogant is your favorite accusation, check where unapologetic self-assertion is missing in you. If lazy is your drumbeat, check where rest terrifies you so you attack it in others. Precision, not self-blame. You're not bad, you're split. Splits confuse choice. Practical example, you label others manipulative. Meanwhile, you stack sentences with softeners, drop hints, and barter favors to get compliance without asking cleanly. Your nervous system calls that kindness. It's anxiety avoidance. The moment you own, I use subtle control when I fear a no, decisions change. You move from policing everyone to practicing direct asks, which gives you hard data, yes or no, instead of story. Install a safety valve. Delay declarations for 24 hours. When the surge hits, write the claim privately. They're selfish. Then interrogate it with 3 questions. Where is this in me? Where is this in my fear? Where is this in my need? Fear often says, if they succeed, I disappear. Need often says, I want recognition, and I don't know how to ask. Quick win. Reframe. They always to, I protect myself by. As in, I protect myself by reading hidden motives into silence. That sentence collapses the distortion field. Protection is a choice you can redesign. Projection is a trance that makes choices for you. Boundary note. Projection work complements boundaries. It doesn't cancel them. You can hold a firm line and still ask, "What's mine?" In fact, clean boundaries require shadow recall. Otherwise, you enforce from moral superiority instead of clarity, and your boundary becomes a weapon, not a wall. Once you contain power and recall projections, you're ready for the method Jung relied on. The third thing that mediates opposites without collapse. Opposites tear the psyche. One part wants risk, another demands safety. If you choose fast, you split. If you stall, you rot. The third thing mediates without collapse or possession. Jung called this the transcendent function, a structured dialogue between your conscious aim and the unconscious image that contradicts it, held long enough for a creative synthesis to emerge. Here's the protocol. First, write your stance in one clean paragraph. Direct, specific, time-bound. Second, invite the counter-image. Close your eyes, breathe down into the body and ask, what image carries the opposition? Don't hunt, let it arrive. Third, hold the tension. Describe the image without arguing. Fourth, wait for synthesis, a symbol, phrase, or felt shift that suggests a new move. Build a container so the psyche trusts you. Ritualize time, same chair, same hour, 10 to 20 minutes. Stable posture, grounded feet, tall spine. One specific question framed as a choice you actually face. Non-argumentative tone. You're a witness, not a prosecutor. The symbol is a bridge, not a verdict. Work with it. Don't worship it. Example, your ambition says sprint. Your body begs for rest. The image that arrives is a kiln. A kiln doesn't burn non-stop. It heats in stages, then cools to set the form. Translation becomes a practice. Staggered sprints with defined recovery windows. 2 weeks on, 3 days off. Output improves. Guilt fades. The decision stabilizes. Common mistakes. Rushing interpretation. Demanding certainty. Ignoring the felt shift in your body. The psyche speaks in temperature changes, breath ease, and sudden quiet. Respect that. Install a mentor function, analyst, grounded peer, or a practiced inner observer who asks, what changed in behavior, not belief? Run the integration cycle, micro-experiment, review, adjust. Evidence over euphoria. If the symbol suggested staggered sprints, schedule one cycle, measure energy, relationships, and results. Refine. Now you try. One question, one image, one behavioral tweak for 7 days. Then repeat. Here's the one thing to remember when the work turns heavy. Hold the tension. Don't dramatize the tension. Facing your shadow alone isn't courage, it's exposure. Contain power, retract projections, and build the third thing so decisions become clean and repeatable. Comment with your strongest projection pattern using "I protect myself by" and subscribe for deeper Jung insights.